Attention, dear viewers. Prepare to indulge in a luxurious and extravagant adaptation of a beloved romance novel this holiday season. At Bridgerton, the Netflix series based on Julia Quinn's captivating Bridgerton novels, invites you into the enchanting world of the lively and opulent Bridgerton family. Set in the Regency era, this tale revolves around the scandalous lives and captivating love stories of the Bridgertons, who hold esteemed positions in England's aristocracy and wealthy merchant class. Their every move and reputation are meticulously chronicled by the infamous gossip columnist Lady Whistledown. Allow me to introduce you to the remarkable members of the Bridgerton clan. We have Lady Bridgerton, the wise and nurturing matriarch, Lord Bridgerton, the strong and honorable patriarch, Benedict, the artistically inclined second son, Colin, the adventurous third son, Daphne, the eldest daughter and debutante, Eloise, the spirited and rebellious sibling, Francesca, who plays a smaller role in this tale, Gregory, the innocent child, and lastly, Hyacinth, the youngest and most endearing member of the family. Phew! That's quite a large and vibrant family, isn't it? But fear not, my friends, for in this particular episode, our focus lies primarily on the captivating journey of Anthony and Daphne Bridgerton. Get ready to be swept away by their enthralling story of love, passion, and the complexities of navigating the treacherous waters of high society. I'll grab a cozy blanket, settle in, and immerse yourself in the world of the Bridgerton. This is a holiday treat you won't want to miss. In the heart of Grosvenor Square, the year's 1813, and Lady Whistledown, the mysterious author of the town's scandalous gossip paper, takes center stage with a mischievous twinkle in her eye. She urges her readers to place their bets for the upcoming social season. But before they do, she directs their attention to two very different households. First, she paints a vivid picture of the Featherington house, where the tasteless and tactless Baroness Featherington reigns supreme. Lady Whistledown reveals that there are three young women under the care of this less than refined mother. Calculated a comical twist, she recounts how Portia, the head of the household, forces poor Prudence into a corset that is far too tight. With a hint of sarcasm, Lady Whistledown shares Portia's outrageous claim that she once squeezed her waist into the size of an orange and a half at Prudence's age, and now expects her daughter to do the same. But the gossip columnist doesn't stop there. She turns her attention to the Bridgerton house, home to the widowed Viscountess Bridgerton and her brood. Lady Whistledown tantalizes her readers with the promise of handsome sons and beautiful daughters within this family. It seems the Bridgertons are quite the catch. As the anticipation builds, Lady Whistledown's voice takes on a playful tone. She invites her readers to consider these two households carefully as they hold the key to the upcoming social season. But just as Oz's excitement reaches its peak, she shifts gears, directing her attention to Daphne, one of the Bridgerton siblings. With a touch of impatience, her sister Eloise calls out to Daphne, urging her to hurry up for her grand presentation to the Queen. Oh, the drama and intrigue of high society in 1813. Lady Whistledown's words leave her readers hanging on the edge of their seats, eagerly awaiting the next scandalous revelation. As the Featherington and Bridgerton families prepare to depart for the palace, Violet turns to Benedict and inquires about Anthony's whereabouts. She advises him that if he wishes to be respected as Lord Bridgerton, he must conduct himself accordingly. Little does she know, Anthony is engaged in a passionate encounter with someone against a tree. Meanwhile, Daphne and the rest of the family arrive at the palace just as Anthony dismounts his horse. He approaches Daphne and assures her that he wouldn't miss such a momentous day for her and their family. Lady Whistledown, in her latest publication, reveals the significance of this day. It marks the occasion when London's marriage-minded women will be presented to the Queen. Prudence, Philippa, and Penelope, accompanied by their mother Portia, step forward to be presented to the Queen. They gracefully walk and bow before her, but the Queen's expression reveals her displeasure. A dismissive gesture, she signals for them to leave. However, before they can make their exit, Prudence unexpectedly faints. The Queen, seemingly indifferent, doesn't even bother to show concern. Daphne stood beside her mother Violet as they made their way towards the queen. With a graceful bow, they approached her majesty, who rose from her seat and gently caressed Daphne's face, praising her flawless beauty. The queen bestowed a tender kiss upon Daphne's forehead, filling her heart with pride. The next day, Lady Whistledown's society papers were distributed throughout the town. Daphne's face still radiated with joy from the queen's compliment while Eloise perused a copy of the paper. Daphne shared with Eloise that her triumph in the marriage market would undoubtedly impact their own prospects, and she hoped that they would all find a love as pure as their parents' shared bond. Suddenly, Violet burst into the room, brimming with excitement, and announced the arrival of the girls' dresses. She eagerly presented Daphne with a gown in the same shade that Mary Edgecombe had worn during her presentation, which had garnered her 3 marriage proposals the very next day. Eloise then revealed that according to Lady Whistledown, Mary Edgecombe's happiness had taken a turn for the worse. Violet implores Eloise to put an end to her habit of reading scandalous newspapers, but Eloise defends herself by explaining that Lady Whistledown lists individuals by name. Curiosity gets the better of Daphne, who manages to get her hands on the paper and discovers that Lady Whistledown disapproves of the Bridgerton siblings being named in alphabetical order. Both Violet and Daphne are taken aback when they read that Lady Whistledown has declared Daphne as the season's incomparable and describes her as a rare gem. Meanwhile, Portia also reads the same paper and speculates to Lady Cowper that Lady Whistledown might actually be Violet. She indulges in writing about the Bridgertons, but Lady Cowper insists that the newspaper only reports the truth. Lady Cowper further reveals that Daphne has blossomed beautifully, and it would be advantageous for the other ladies if she were to find a suitor soon. Portia instructs her daughters to prepare for the arrival of their guests, Marina, who is a distant cousin of the Baron, and will be under Portia's guidance for the season since she lacks a close female relative to sponsor her debut. Taking advantage of the situation, Penelope tries to persuade Portia to delay Marina's debut by a year. Just as Violet did with Eloise, Portia declines the suggestion, but Lady Cowper advises her to reconsider due to the potential competition that Marina may bring. Portia disagrees, asserting that Marina will not pose much of a threat as she comes from a humble background with a modest dowry. They can only hope that Marina presents herself more elegantly than the animals she tends to on the farm. Marina's arrival leaves everyone in awe except for Penelope, who remains speechless. Marina's beauty is simply captivating. Meanwhile, Simon makes his entrance into town and heads straight to Lady Danbury. After she offers her condolences for the loss of his father and extends an invitation to the ball she is hosting that evening. However, Simon explains that he is only in town to handle his late father's affairs and doesn't have time for socializing. Lady Danbury disagrees, prompting Simon to agree to make a brief appearance. Anthony, on the other hand, attends the opera to see Sienna, the opera singer with whom he had a previous encounter. They engage in another passionate encounter until Anthony has to leave to chaperone his sister to the Danbury ball. Curious about the events Daphne has to attend, she asks Anthony for details. He explains that they revolve around elegantly dressed young ladies with ambitious mothers and cautious fathers, all seeking advantageous matches. Since their father's passing, Anthony has taken on the responsibility of finding a suitable match for Daphne and protecting her virtue from any harm. Sienna acknowledges Daphne's fortunate position, and Anthony reassures her that he will protect her as well. Lady Danbury's ball marks the beginning of the season where young ladies have the opportunity to find potential matches. Penelope's attention is drawn to Colin, who is gracefully dancing with another woman. Daphne, Violet, and Anthony make their grand entrance, capturing the attention of everyone in the room. Lord Ambrose, eager to approach Daphne, is swiftly dismissed by Anthony, who cleverly brings up his gambling debts. As they navigate through the crowd, Anthony takes it upon himself to criticize any man who dares to show interest in Daphne. Spotting Benedict and Colin at the ball, Colin casually mentions his upcoming tour in Greece. Just as the men try to avoid Lady Danbury's gaze, she playfully informs them that it's too late to escape her presence. With a show of respect, they all bow before her. Lady Danbury compliments Daphne's appearance and wonders why she hasn't danced yet. Anthony assures her that the time for Daphne to dance will come. Colin catches sight of Marina gracefully dancing and becomes curious about her. Seeking information, he approaches Benedict and inquires about her. Benedict replies that he hasn't seen her before. Undeterred, Colin decides to approach Marina's group. Lady Cowperkley notices Colin's approach and promptly informs Lady Featherington. Lady Featherington predicts that the Featherington house will soon be filled with potential suitors, as where one suitor goes, others sure to follow. Suddenly, Simon makes his entrance, instantly capturing the attention of the mothers present. They swarm around him, eager to introduce their daughters to him. Meanwhile, Daphne and Anthony observe the scene from a distance. Daphne excuses herself to get a drink, only to be approached by Lord Burbrook. He confesses that she has always amused him, even since their school days. Daphne playfully responds that she must have been quite the entertainer even at the tender age of 5. Is desperate to escape the Lord Burbrook's company. She pretends to hear her brother calling for her. As she tries to make her way back to Anthony, she accidentally bumps into Simon and apologizes. Realizing that Lord Burbrook is approaching, she attempts to engage Simon in conversation. Curious, she asks for his name, but Simon playfully challenges her, stating that he doesn't believe she doesn't know who he is. Daphne accuses him of assuming she wants an introduction with him. Frustrated, she tries to explain that all she wants is to avoid Lord Burbrook. Just then, Anthony calls out to Simon using his last name, Bassett. The two men shake hands, and Anthony suggests that Simon should address him as the Duke of Hastings instead of Bassett. Anthony then introduces Daphne to Simon, revealing that they know each other from their time at Oxford. He extends an invitation for Simon to join their club. Anthony pulls Daphne along the dance floor, but their momentum is halted by Violet, who informs Daphne that Lord Weatherby wishes to have a dance with her. Daphne's face lights up with joy, but Anthony interjects, insisting that it's time for them to leave. Violet, however, insists that Daphne stay with her. After some consideration, Daphne agrees to stay, prompting Anthony to advise her that it's best to leave everyone wanting more rather than dancing. He assures her that he understands how these things work. Daphne conveys to Violet that Anthony may be right, and they depart. The following morning, Daphne eagerly anticipates suitors, but only one arrives, whom Anthony successfully drives away. Meanwhile, at Featherington House, suitors flock to see Marina, much to Portia's disappointment. Lady Whistledown's latest column suggests that the Queen should reconsider the high praise she bestowed upon Daphne, as Marina, an even rarer gem, appears to be more deserving. Lady Whistledown also notes that Lady Featherington must be overjoyed, as the true incomparable resides under her roof. Eloise inquires if her mother and sisters have read Lady Whistledown's recent writings. Daphne suggests that it might be better if Anthony doesn't accompany them to future events, but Violet reminds her that he has managed their schedule for the entire season. Just as Daphne sees a caller, much to her dismay, it turns out to be Lord Burbrook. This occurs simultaneously with another group of callers bidding farewell to Marina at Featherington House. Lady Whistledown's latest column reveals that the Duke of Hastings is still captivating the attention of mamas in town, much to their delight. However, she also discloses that the Duke has made it clear that he has no intentions of tying the knot anytime soon. Meanwhile, at the Bridgerton Club, Anthony engages in a conversation with Simon, questioning his lack of interest in marriage. Simon candidly admits that he wishes for the Hastings lineage to end with him. He then redirects the inquiry to Anthony, questioning why he himself remains unmarried and whether he plans to continue his affair with his mistress indefinitely. Anthony confidently responds, highlighting that his brothers can carry on the family name by fathering an heir, a privilege that Simon does not possess. In her column, Lady Whistledown reports that Colin is actively pursuing Marina's affections, while Lord Burbrook remains a persistent suitor vying for Daphne's attention. As the opera commences, Daphne arrives accompanied by her mother. Spotting Lord Burbrook, she swiftly signals for Violet, urging them to proceed to their box. However, their progress is halted when Lady Danbury extends an invitation for them to join her in her box. With Lady Danbury engaged in conversation with the Queen, Daphne and Violet gracefully curtsy. The Queen acknowledges Daphne's presence, remarking that she has left quite an impression, even if it may be fleeting. While Sienna serenades the crowd, Lady Danbury and Violet engage in a conversation about the scandalous writings of Lady Whistledown. They both agree that the false rumors being spread are tarnishing the reputations of both Simon and Daphne. Determined to put an end to this, Lady Danbury and Violet devise a plan to give Lady Whistledown something real to write about. During a delightful dinner at the Bridgerton house, the family discusses the identity of Lady Whistledown. Violet suggests that Simon should join them more often, emphasizing the importance of his presence. Simon, however, notices Daphne's discontent and reminds her that she should be happy to be seated beside him. Daphne, uninterested in his advances, dismisses him as a notorious rake. In response, Simon playfully teases her, highlighting her virtuous nature and her eagerness to find a suitable husband. Anthony commends Simon for his spontaneous decision to join them for dinner, but Simon reveals that he couldn't refuse the invitation as Lady Danbury had already accepted on his behalf. Later that evening, Violet pays a visit to Anthony's office. She expresses her concerns about the matchmaking plan she had devised with Lady Danbury, as she believes Simon has no intention of marrying. Violet insists that Daphne deserves better. In response, Anthony informs her that Simon will be their guest at the Vauxhall the following day. Violet's actions are seen as overstepping by Anthony, who asserts that Daphne is his responsibility. This leads to a confrontation about Anthony's relationship with Sienna and his reliance on his brothers. Violet warns him that Daphne is terrified of the future that awaits her if he continues to interfere. Now, she even goes as far as insulting him, questioning whether he is truly an older brother or the man of the house, as their late father would have already found a suitable match for Daphne. The following day, Anthony ends his relationship with Sienna. Over at the Vauxhall, Colin seeks out Pennant and inquires about Marina. Penn informs him that Marina is unwell and requires Portia's presence. Miss Copper approaches Colin and clumsily spills a drink on Penn's dress. Colin politely declines her invitation to dance, explaining that he must accompany Penn to the dance floor. They gracefully make their way to the center and sway to the music. Simon arrives, and some guests remark on his striking resemblance to his father. As the host announces an extraordinary event, Simon seizes the opportunity to slip away from the crowd. Daphne observes in awe as the hall illuminates with hundreds of twinkling bulbs. Anthony approaches Daphne and insists that she marry Lord Burbrook due to his prestigious lineage and ancient barony. Daphne, however, refuses to entertain the idea and walks away. At Featherington House, Portia confronts Marina about her prolonged absence of menstruation. Portia expresses concern for her own daughters, fearing the impact of such news. Marina pleads with Portia not to disclose her pregnancy to her father. She asserts that Portia could never understand their circumstances, as she is detached and believes herself superior. In a fit of anger, Portia slaps her. Daphne paced restlessly in a secluded corner of the garden, her mind consumed with Anthony's recent revelation. Lost in her thoughts, she was startled when Nigel, or Lord Burbrook, appeared before her speaking of marriage. With a firm resolve, she declared that he would never be her husband and that she had no intention of marrying him. She insisted that her brother had made a mistake and urged Nigel to leave. But Nigel, fueled by arrogance, retorted that he was her only hope, as no one else desired her. In a moment of audacity, he grabbed her, causing Daphne to cry out for him to stop. Fortunately, her distress caught the attention of Simon, who swiftly came to her rescue. Before Simon could even intervene, Daphne unleashed a powerful punch, sending Nigel sprawling to the ground. Album impressed by her courage, Simon commended Daphne for her actions. However, the realization that she was now alone with two men made her uneasy, prompting her to express her need to leave. As Nigel regained consciousness, he implored Daphne to marry him. Simon, however, advised against such a union, asserting that she deserved better. Daphne countered, explaining that if no other offer presented itself, she would have no choice. In a surprising turn, Simon revealed that he might have a solution to their predicament. He proposed that they pretend to form an attachment, leading society to believe he had found his Duchess while drawing attention to Daphne. This, he believed, would compel Lady Whistledown to write that he was unavailable and that Daphne was a desirable prospect. Embracing this unconventional plan, they made their way to the dance floor, capturing the gaze of everyone around them. As they danced together, Anthony Violet and Lady Danbury observed from a distance, intrigued by the unfolding events. Wow, the first episode of this series has definitely left a lasting impression. There are so many intriguing characters to keep an eye on, and just from this episode alone, it's clear that we're in for an exhilarating journey. Lord Burbrook has us worried, and we're curious to know if Daphne can find a way out of the marriage arrangement Anthony has made for her. We sincerely hope she doesn't end up with Nigel. That would be truly heartbreaking. I must admit, I was a bit thrown off by the show's unique approach of featuring instrumental versions of contemporary music. I guess I'm more used to the theatrical music that is usually used in period movies. Musician perhaps is their way of appealing to a younger audience. And I have to say, it's working. So tell me, what are your thoughts on the episode? Are you enjoying the show's fresh take on music and costumes?